Welcome to Latinas Wine Club Envínate. We are in episode 2. Welcome, Martha.
Hi, Cynthia. So glad to be here with you to discuss this interesting topic of Sabores del Vino, our first segment of episode 2.
I'm excited too, Martha. Let's just jump right in. I want to talk about some of the seasons. As season change, Martha, we plan accordingly. We update, we refresh our homes, we maybe get a new hairdo, add some pops of color. How do we change or update our wine palette and our wine selections?
Yes, Cynthia. So let's talk about that tricky time of the year that we have when winter is saying goodbye and spring is just peeking around the corner. Our taste buds get a little bit confused, of course. Um, you don't want to drink like a super bold red wine, or like you don't even want a super light summer drink, but you're also kind of like looking for something new to discover. We need something that is a bit of a bridge, right? So
Agreed.
something that works with the last comforting winter dishes, but also get us excited for the fresh flavors of spring. So think about like as you mentioned, the perfect outfit for that in between weather, not too heavy, not too light, just right. So it's the same with wine. Um, I highly recommend a good rosé, Cynthia. And you know that we just had our class of rosé wines of the world, and we usually have it at this time of the year, like mid-February. As I mentioned, we just had it. Because I think rosé is a great transitional wine. What do you think?
Absolutely. We learned so much in that rosé class. It's always one of my favorites, the different styles of rosé, and it really is so versatile and it's perfect as we make these transitions.
Exactly. Some people may think that rosé is just a summer drink, but yes and no. There are rosés and there are rosés. We're not talking about the super sweet, candy, high acidity rosé that you often drink in a beach or like a poolside. We're talking about more serious rosés, the ones we had some depth. Um, Think, for instance, a rosé from the Vendôme region in France. These are very special, made with some of my favorite French grapes, Grenache, Mourvedre, and Cinsault. And pardon my French, right, Cynthia? Like, I'm not an expert on French pronunciation, but we do our best. That gives these three grapes gives them a bit more body and complexity than your average pink Provence rosés, let's say it like that. So what makes these Vandal rosés great for this time of the year? Well, as we mentioned, they have some depth, and you have a little bit more of the fruit notes, less of the zesty citrusy thing, mix of like herbs that we love, especially the garlic. The French garlic that we often talk about, and that's like the blend of herbs that is usually found in the south of France, and it's like lavender, rosemary, all those yummy, yummy French herbs. And this complexity makes them super versatile when it comes to food.
I love that, Martha. You're so right. Those flavors actually they bring about change, and you want us to go ahead and dive right in. When you mentioned the lavender, absolutely. So French style. So yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yes, definitely. You also, I don't want to just focus on the Vendôme Rosé. We give a lot of recommendations during our classes, but let me tell you that Spanish rosados, they are also a great option, especially those coming from the north part of Spain that are not very well known. So that will be like a lesser bold rosé, let's say it like that, that is great for this time of the year. So definitely something that you can look out in your liquor store.
Martha, that sounds wonderful. It really does. And they complement, the seasons, the style, and we all know wine, it's a very personal choice, but really to explore. And rosé is a great medium to go ahead and try some different wines from different regions. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Are there any um, pairings that would complement?
Yes, definitely. So will that rosetta is a little, has more depth, like the Bandol or the rosados that I just mentioned from Spain. You can definitely pair like a hearty lentil soup. So yummy, Cynthia. With sausage or with potatoes. We even add carrots with the lentil soup. So that will pair just deliciously. And will be like kind of like comforting, still kind of like wintry comfort food, but still like if you add more vegetables, kind of like spring style. Um, and if you start craving more like spring fresh flavors, try it with grilled salmon. You know that I love it. Grilled salmon and asparagus with rosé is a must-have item in my dinner, like almost weekly during this time. It also pairs good with roasted chicken, lamb, or even spicy flavors. Don't forget charcuterie, of course, and a salad with goat cheese. That like gooey, yummy flavors of the cheese will pair very good with a medium body rosé. The possibilities are endless, Cynthia. You really need to be creative and explore and just have fun.
Martha, you're making me hungry. Those all sound wonderful. But yeah, I definitely love your salmon pairings. I know that's one of your favorites. I see it all the time on your stories. So thank you for sharing that because I would have never have done salmon with rosé. So appreciate that share. Thank you. As we are talking about the temps and the seasons and some of these changes, let's talk about some of the serving temperatures for our wines and as particularly for rosé.
Yes, of course. You know, Cynthia, we already know this that temperature is key, right? We have Latinas Wine Club serving rule that is 20 minutes. You wanna dive
Yeah,
on it?
Martha, you taught me this lesson. I remember Latinas Wine Club. Even before we start our wine school, it's like 20 minutes ahead. Drop those reds. So you put the reds in the fridge 20 minutes before opening, and then you pull the whites out 20 minutes before. So it's a real crucial time. 20 minutes makes all of the difference. I'm in Texas. Our room temperature is definitely warm. And when I was having some of those wines at room temperature, it was just too much here. But yeah, dropping them in the fridge really is perfect. That 20-minute, nice and cool, but just perfect. And it made all of the difference in the pairings and the flavors that we get from the glass.
Yes, indeed, Cynthia. And it's the same with the rosé, of course. And especially these medium body rosés that had some depth, you don't want to pour them ice cold. Like, no, reserve that for the summer. Think like cool but not freezing, around 10 to 13 Celsius, 50 to 55 Fahrenheit. That is the perfect temperature for this medium body rosé, the Bandol, or the Spanish rosados. Uh, Too cold, you really miss a lot of the experience, like all the flavors, both in your when you perceive the aromas and in your palate, it will ruin it. Believe me, temperature is key. It makes all the difference. And it also will affect your food pairing. You will not enjoy it as much. Believe me, it just changed the whole dining experience. So remember, rosé is not ice cold. Think cool, not freezing, 10 to 13 Celsius, 50 to 55. And it's not like you're gonna measure it, but I think that rule that we have kind of like for the whites would also apply for the rosés.
I agree, Martha. It makes all of the difference. It's like our foods. We don't want them too hot or too cold, just right. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I love to pick your brain. You definitely get a chance to live your wine life. And I want to ask, are you aware or are there any new underrated varietals that we should be taking care of or looking at in our stores?
Well, definitely, Cynthia. There are a couple of recommendations that I have. Spring is a time for discovery. Just as like those blooming flowers, let's let me recommend some delicious and interesting options. Well, you know that I love Alvarinho, both from Rias Baixas and Portugal. The Vino Verde is a fantastic alternative to Sauvignon Blanc, and if you haven't had by this time, please do. It offers like a zesty citrusy notes, but not overpowering. It has some grapefruit and lime, refreshing minerality, and a hint of salinity. Also, the Alvarinho from Rias Baixas and Portugal can age. So if you have some Alvarinho that you purchased last year or you haven't had something in your cellar for a while, please open it. In recent master classes that I have taken, we have learned that Alvarinho can age and definitely can show some great depth and add a great experience to your pairings, especially with seafood and light spring dishes. It's a sunshine in a glass.
Thank you, Martha. Any others?
Yeah, of course. Well, Verdejo is a lesser known variety from Spain that I love, love, love. It has green notes. And you know, it can when we say green, sometimes we think about like a bad connotation, but I think we have to be a little bit open and definitely try Verdejo because it has flavors of fennel, those herbs, grapefruit, and a little bit of almond note. And I love to find the almond note in my whites. It's just a very particular uh, tasting flavor that provides more depth to the wine. And it's great to pair with green vegetables, asparagus, other green vegetables, chickpeas, hummus and verdejo go like hand in hand. And especially if you add a little bit of spice to your hummus and verdejo, oh my God, like you have the right snack for adults there. Gruner, of course, now that we're speaking about green wines that are difficult to find and easy to pair with green vegetables that sometimes is so challenging, like how you pair the asparagus. Well, you have verdejo, as I mentioned, and the Gruner. The Gruner is an Austrian star and is already gaining so much popularity and for good reason. It is very versatile. It has good amount of acidity, but not overpowering. It has no notes of white pepper and green apple, and it's quite fantastic to pair with salads. And we want as much salads in the spring as we can, right? Um, and then another one, uh, Picpoul de Pinet from the Languedoc region of the south of France is also known for its crisp acidity and refreshing minerality. This may be a little bit more difficult to find, Cynthia, but it's good for you to know that you have that option as well and offers citrusy green apple and mineral salinity notes. It's great to pair with oysters, shellfish, and other seafood, and especially this season that we're starting to do like spring brunch or like for Easter will be also good. Then we have some recommendations on reds, of course. And I think for the light red, Cynthia, we kind of like think for some of the transitional reds that we had during fall, you know, I really like the gamay with Beaujolais. You know, we usually drink it for Thanksgiving. I think it's also great for spring. Um, if you we mentioned Easter, if you're gonna celebrate Easter or any other celebration around the spring, I think it's a great wine to bring into the table for those red wine lovers. And of course, another red that I always mention during the fall is also great on spring. It's Frappato, and this is an Italian, a Sicilian grape that is very light bodied and fruity, and it has perfect acidity to start enjoying outside. I know you are in Texas, Cynthia, and that you don't have the problems that we have in the East Coast here, that is just like so cold during the winter time to go outside, but in the spring there are some days that we hey like let's gather outside. So frappato is good for those spring days that you wanna just go out in the patio or in the porch and just have a drink to enjoy.
Thank you, Martha. I've never tried it, so it's on my list along with the.
Definitely.
So yeah,
Please do, Cynthia.
yes,
Frappato, it's delicious.
excellent. Um, let's see, Martha.
So I think this was a great coverage of the seasonal sipping for spring, Cynthia. I think we have great recommendations. I hope you really try the Frappato. Which other rosés are you into?
Actually, in Texas, we're doing really well with the rosé, the Senso rosé, and the Grenache. And those are two big rosés. They do have big flavor. I know we talked about them in our rosé class. They're really getting good flavor here in Texas. We do like the style with more bite to them, to that rosé. So they're both doing well.
I love to hear that, Cynthia. Yes, I think I had a rosé from Texas as in salt. And yes, I mean, it doesn't necessarily has to be from France. Focus on the grapes and remember to focus on the body of the wine that you are drinking during seasonal sipping. This is just like general recommendations, but definitely enjoy what you like, pair it as you want. But it's just suggestion because it's a transitional season, as we mentioned in the beginning of this segment. And just have some fun. Really, spring is an exploration time, so we definitely have to embrace that, open our hearts, our mouths to enjoy different wines.
Thank you, Martha. I love that to explore. So thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, Cynthia, so I'll catch you up in the Chal on our next segment.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, welcome to El Chal, where we want to explore some of the responsible drinking recommendations. So, Cynthia, there's so much conversation around wine consumption lately. And I want to start this segment of El Chal, where we do it in a very free and conversational and safe style, stating that we are not medical expert, nor this supposed to be like a recommendation for your health. This is a discussion on our individual point of view rather than the Latinas Wine Club Corporation position in regards of health or alcohol. The final decision is yours. Please be responsible. Address any questions to a medical professional. This conversation only reflects educated opinion of two individuals, and we both agree on responsible drinking, Cynthia.
Absolutely, Martha. Thank you so much. It really is about being responsible, being present, and it is definitely your choice.
Definitely, Cynthia. The conversation around wine consumption has changed through the years. And lately has been many articles, and I've seen many media, a lot of media outlets really chiming in to kind of like the wine consumption how it is, and especially in America. In Europe they do not know what we're talking about. Sometimes when I post on Instagram about the issues or the discussions that we have in America, the Italians are like, oh, what happened, what's going on. So it's something that we it's often discussed here. And we are not perfect. We are humans. And here at Latinas Wine Club is a safe space to discuss and welcome different opinions. So everyone opinion is welcomes. But there's a truth that sometimes we do things out of an habit and we do not really think about it. And you and me, we have talked a lot about mindful drinking and how it's important to stop and think about the choices that you have.
Absolutely, Martha. Thank you for the reminder. You're the one who really got us to think about what was in our glass and to take that time, show it respect, smell, taste, enjoy, and then when it's time to set aside, you just put it down.
Yes, exactly. It's responsible drinking, right? And that's something that here, both as individual and as the founders and co-founders of Latinas Wine Club, we discuss a lot. Uh, and sometimes that I think we get lost on all this noise of the discussion or the national discussion that we have. So I really wanted to touch base on the basics, Cynthia, because it seems that we are lost in quantity. So let's discuss the basic. What counts as a drink? What do you think, Cynthia?
Well, that's difficult to say because sometimes it depends on the glass, and sometimes it's where you're at as well. If you go to a venue or at a restaurant, folks can be very generous, and you have to keep an eye on that pour.
Yes, you're right, Cynthia. I mean, you cannot say it better. It depends on the glass and the bartender and many things. But we usually check the website of the National Alcohol and Tobacco Association. Let me tell you the correct name. National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. And I think they provide great guidance on what it is like a standard drink. Sometimes even we get lost on those numbers because of the factors that you mentioned. But there is a thing as a standard drink. So for wine lovers, it's 5 ounces glass. And I think here there's a lot of confusion because, some restaurants they pour you 2.5 ounces rather than the 5 ounces. So with that measure, you can have two glasses and you can still have one standard drink. Yeah, I mean, this is like game-changing thought because especially if you are in a winery and you want to have a tasting, right? Sometimes you have like 3 or 4 wines, depending on the menu. So if you have three, sometimes it's like one glass because they put you less than the 2.5 or like the 5 ounces on each glasses. It's usually just like a tiny bit, right, Cynthia? What is your experience with that?
Yeah, here in Texas, I think when we come into those tasting rooms, they definitely want you to try anywhere from 4 to 5 wines, but they are very careful to really look at those 1 ounce pours. And if there is something that you need to go back and revisit or to try again, you definitely can do that. But they do have the buckets to go ahead and empty out your glass or to go ahead and to spit into.
Yeah, definitely. Spitting, you mentioned also that very important for us as a wine professionals. Speeding is a must. And we have been discussing about that, I think, in previous episodes, but speeding is a good practice. Uh, Believe it or not, speeding is a good practice for wine lovers. I think as sooner as you get into speeding, you're gonna enjoy more the wine experience because you can still choose the wine that you want to enjoy completely, the wine glass that you want to enjoy completely. And then you can still have a standard drink and still be good to carry over different things you have to do in the day or after the tasting. So I think that's something that we have to definitely discuss more and promote more, Cynthia. I feel like we do not talk a lot about spinning. What do you think?
Absolutely. Martha, it was with you through Latinas Wine Club where you had a good, very frank discussion about spitting. And it really was where we want to try all of the wines. We want to explore and experience, really get in and smell and take a look at those pours, but also to take a sip and just kind of let it, everything happens here, in the mouth. Go ahead and take it in, check that temperature and kind of swish it around and then to go ahead and to spit, and you can hang on to those flavors and kind of see what still happens in your mouth, but you want to have an opportunity to explore and experience as much as you can, and the best way to do that is to go ahead and spit, especially when we go to events, when we go to private tastings. You want to go ahead and take it all in.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking as a wine lovers that we have the opportunity to go to wine tastings or to even as a wine club member, Cynthia. We have that just many of us are wine club members and we have the opportunity to taste new releases. So it's a good practice. So please start spitting and then definitely enjoy your standard drink. As we mentioned in the beginning, um we're not perfect. Of course, we want to indulge, and there are occasions for that. I think as an individual comment, I think there's occasions, but you have to be safe. Definitely do not drive after drinking more than a standard drink. That's something that it's non-negotiable, Cynthia. Definitely also taking medications that interact with alcohol, that's definitely a no-no. That's what we mean with responsible drinking, that really do not expose yourself. Um, and of course, you have to be uh, at an age that it's legal in your country to drink, right? I know that here in Latinas Wine Club YouTube channel, we reach many other countries rather than just America. And it's always the recommended legal age. Many of us learned to drink even when we were uh, minors, but just because in a responsible manner, and it's because it's a part of our family traditions. Some of us grew up with wine, some of us we don't. But always like learning and enjoying it is just a different thing. What was your experience, Cynthia?
Absolutely, Martha. It was around responsibility and just being respectful, respect to, of course, the drink in front of you, the people around you, taking that time. We did grow up drinking alcohol into our family. It was not a big thing. It was always balanced with food and family and friends. It wasn't just about the alcohol. So, yeah, it really is a responsible way of moving forward, and as we were raised, and I definitely appreciate taking that and sharing that with my own adult children, always not to hide, to go ahead and be responsible, be aware of your consumption, and to balance it out, either by spitting and just being aware and taking those steps to be responsible and to be respectful.
I cannot agree more with that, Cynthia. I mean, as we are interconnected through social media, we know about different family and cultural experiences around the world. And I can tell you from my husband that it's from Eastern European country that he learned very young because they grow up grapes, they do wines themselves. And it was not a matter of, oh, let's exceed. It was more of like, let's learn, let's share together. And of course, that's a different cultural experience. But we have to be open and kind of like, as a wine lovers, I know that we share many moments around our kids and gatherings and socializing. And in those moments is when we have to be more present, that we are always showing with our actions rather than with our words. So that's part of being responsible, and what we call responsible drinking. Always show with your actions rather than with your words. Um, So that's something that we definitely, as a mothers, you and me, Cynthia, we are moms, and we kind of like teach with the example. So of course, my kids, if you ask my kids, they already know mommy likes vino, all the time. I don't know if they say that in front of other people and people is gonna think like other things, But here at home, I am proud. They are the kids of a sommelier. And that's something that they live with every day. We have a cellar at home, and I know that when they grow up, they are gonna be tempted, and that's where I hope the example and these conversations that we have around responsible drinking uh, jump in.
Absolutely, Martha. You said it first about our actions speak louder than our words, and we're always being watched. That's always, by our children, by our family, by the people around us. So you're absolutely right. It's incredible to go ahead. Our actions speak much louder than our words. So you said that first, and I definitely agree with you. It is about responsibility, and yeah, our kids are watching and learning from us.
Indeed, that is not as easy as it sounds, but for wine and wine consumption, we at least have it somehow, figure it out. For other things, yeah, we need more parenting school, but we're not here to discuss more parenting. So thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for this, Chal. I really like to stress again this point of responsible drinking, that it's often not discussed a lot in the media. So definitely please share and comment and spread the word of responsible drinking this 2025. It's definitely something that we have to keep spreading and sharing with the world.
You're absolutely right, Martha. Thank you.
Thank you. Subscribe to our Latinas Wine Club YouTube channel and receive the notifications of our next episode of Envinate,